Hey everyone, Andy here. I just wanted to go over checkpoint number 2 for some of you who are so eager to find out your results and what it was all about. So without further ado, here we go. So it was meant to be a pre-test. Hopefully none of you took it too seriously in the sense that I didn't want you stressing over it, but it is important stuff that we covered. I think there are a decent amount of standards that I put into the questions. And again, all of it was referenceable. So if you had any questions about any of those answers, should be able to refer back to our best practices guide that's in Box. And if you don't know where to find it, search for it. But in fact, I think it was one of the questions. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at it. So you logged in into an instance of my demo instance, and I had you click on the checkpoint number 2, and I had you go in and take the survey. I originally had done this in SurveyMonkey, but I thought, why not just use our own product to do this? So, and I'll just go through these really quick. So I see this happen quite a bit in email, so it's a little bit more informal, but we're going to have a lot of reviewers for K-13. Want to make sure that we all do this correctly and look for things correctly, or to make sure we're doing it correctly. ServiceNow is no longer with the dash. It is one word, and the S and the N in now are both capitalized, so make sure you have that correct. This one here, the second one's a little bit more nitpicky. Again, there's no right or wrong to any of this, but again, it's about consistency, and we want to make sure that we do everything the same way across the board. Again, it's a minor thing, but there are quite a few things in our guide where we talk about how to standardize on things like kickoff call or go live or things like that. So in this case, we've standardized, for as long as I can remember, on kickoff. And so just make sure you have that ingrained in you. Third, we cover some interesting topics. Really, it's more about how we use parentheses, which we try to limit. But of course, if something has an acronym, then we go with spelling out the word or the phrase or the title, whatever it is, and then putting in the acronym in parentheses. Okay. This one here is a little bit trickier. Which one is one of the choices, or which one of the choices below describes the reason why this is a poorly worded question? This is really the best answer because we should not be using positional words in our labs mostly, or even in our notes, in our slides. We want to avoid that because, especially in a lab, where if you might say, well, look at the graphic below, or in the figure below. If you somehow in a later version have to insert text above that and it pushes the graphic down into the next page, well, then it's no longer below, it's on the next page. So we try to avoid that, and again, that's in our style guide or in our best practice guide. Okay, you're creating a presentation. We used what's called, like the phrase escapes me right now. I think it's upcase, or it's not sentence case. Boy, I can't remember it right now. Anyway, what we're trying to do is capitalize major words, and if prepositions are of more than 4 letters or 5 letters or more, then we will capitalize those as well. So this one should be the first choice there. Okay. And of course, your first bullet should contain. Now, again, this is a nitpicky one. There's not a right or a wrong in the industry right now. It's called an Oxford comma, which we've actually standardized on, and so this would be the correct one here because it is donuts, comma, bacon, comma, and ice cream. Now, some might argue that if you don't have the comma there, that you would want bacon with your ice cream. Now, maybe that's true for somebody like Fayez, but this probably means that you want donuts separately, bacon separately, and ice cream separately. Okay? This is just, again, it's not something you'd ever have to memorize, but it's just something just wanted to make sure that people knew where our templates were, and you should be going to them. It's stored in Box. Our team is technically called the Education Services team, so that's why it's Education Services Team Share, and we have a templates folder. So your PowerPoint templates, your lab templates are all stored in there. And the 8th question here is, now that you're ready to save your presentation, the Sort of the best practice for me would have to choose this third one. Again, there's no right or wrong per se. I know a lot of you might get upset with me with, hey, it really should be a different one. And I agree that in some cases you might want to use a version number, mostly if you're emailing a file back and forth. But if you're going to save it to Box and you're collaborating with other people, ideally Box already versions files for you, so you don't need to version them. I could see an argument for putting the date on it if you're creating a PDF for the final version of your course and you want to make sure that you know which one's the latest one. Yeah, of course, in that case, you might want to put a date, but I would argue that you'd probably just put that into an archive if you had to, and that really if it's in a final folder or if it's the PDF you're using, you would just use the simple name. Okay, and the last one here, rewriting the following bullet. I would have just rewritten it as ServiceNow. Make sure the N is capitalized. ServiceNow applications are built on a single platform. I think that's the correct way to say that sentence. Platform as a service is really used incorrectly in this particular sentence. So we're looking for a couple things there. And again, this is something I put on the case study. That's at the back of the style guide. It's something that I give to every person that interviews at our company just to see if they catch it. And there's a number of things that they also have to look for on that sheet as well. So, end of checkpoint number 2. Hopefully you guys learned something from it. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to email me.